All right, so why the rising from the hill should not be taken seriously. Crystal ball is basically a bait for those who consider themselves left, and I'm not talking about liberals. I'm talking about those who are left or progressive, and I'm not talking about the fake progressives. Even though those even on the left can play can bite and play in the partisan in the partisan BS. So one of the reasons I despise the rising, and I only keep track of it uh, to make points about the BS of something like the rising, which is, by the way, if you're not aware, the rising is a program started by the Hill, which is a establishment an establishment legacy media, and that is and the Hill should tell you everything because that's their Washington. They are based in Washington. They are based in the Washington periphery, and they are just as bad as Washington Post, just as bad as New York Times, just as bad as MSNBC, CNN, and all those. So, and another reason is Saga and Jetty. Now he worked for the Daily Caller, and he says this on one of the earlier shows. And so, if you don't know what the Daily Caller is, it's a right wing it's a right wing channel, and it's funded by and it's a Murdoch media outlet, and if you and that's Fox, and so the Murdochs who own the Sun in the UK, and all sorts of Sky News and Fox network in the U.S. and basically the Murdoch media empire is everywhere in the West. Everywhere, there is not a single place that you can call the West that doesn't have Murdoch. So understand, and Sagar is a disingenuous piece of shit. He his red meat and his red meat and political BS is this libertarian capitalist uh, 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 ideology, and he's ideological populist. I'm sorry, ideological populist. So he's going to throw a lot of red meat that's going to hit both the right, conservative, liberal, and even left. But he's completely and utterly disingenuous. You can tell if you're really paying attention, and I pay attention to what Sagar says. Uh, it's it's all this. All it is he talks populist because he knows that it will get him bites. But he is completely and utterly disingenuous. He has no strong principled stances. Uh, and I've made a video on previously about a video that was on the Hills Rising. Um, and so the reason I'm talking about this again is because they there's another reason why I don't endorse the Rising is that uh, the Rising has Mark Cuban. Now, I'm sure a lot of people know who Mark Cuban is. He's that fucking asshole on who's one of the quote unquote venture capitalists on that show where people come with their ideas and on TV and they talk about it. And my feelings on that whole show is utter BS. Uh, and that you're basically dealing with a criminal who's bent on trying to get you to tell him your idea, and if you bite, then they're going to eventually take what you have and co-opt it for their own interests, for their own self-interest, and leave you high and dry. Uh, so they're pushing Mark Cuban. He's on, and the thing is the Rising has done pieces on Mark Cuban and how much of a piece of shit he is. And so if you watch the video with this recent video with Mark Cuban coming on to the Rising, you notice that Sagar doesn't contradict Mark Cuban with his populist rhetoric, which demonstrates what I said about Sagar, that he's not principled, that it's just all red meat populism, and that's it. Sagar is a piece of shit, and I will continue to call him a piece of shit because he is a piece of shit. Um, and the clever part about the Hill, though, I have to admit, is that they put a piece of shit, a red meat populist piece of shit like Sagar and Jetty on the show with Crystal Ball. Now, Crystal Ball is more genuine, but she's also has a tendency to allow certain certain things that are complete BS that she knows is BS to go unchallenged, and and she even did a book with him, and which makes me suspicious of what Crystal says sometimes, because that's a warning sign. It's like kind of like how Bernie played all of us with many of us with his BS, and Crystal, and I think Crystal may be pulling that same. Um, so but she and the thing is here's the other thing. I think she wants back. I think it's my suspicion that she wants back into the limelight of going back to the MSNBC or CNN and getting a well-paid position. Um, Now that's just my conjecture and so on and so forth, but I don't. Well, I think she's genuine, but also I think she can be bought to change. Much like how Rachel Maddow, she was at one point talking at least some sense, but then she told the line, and her and the money that she was making got bigger, and now she's full on unhinged, uh, uh, unhinged, uh, talking, talking. Um, what is it? Conspiracy. She's she Mata would not be uh, would not be. Uh, I wouldn't surprise me if Maddow were given a chance to be on Fox and paid and being paid more than she is now. I think she would do it. I think Maddow would go full blown Fox. Uh, so um, so that's why I hate the Rising. Even though I do keep an eye on it, I don't. Uh, I used to subscribe to Al Jazeera, but I've unsubscribed them because, and this is like the third or fourth time I've unsubscribed from Al Jazeera. Um, and because and the reason why I went back to subscribing was because I wasn't getting the recommendations for Al Jazeera. Now I don't like Al Jazeera on a lot of the bullshit they pull because they're much like CNN and MSNBC, but at the same time they can be more uh, truth based about certain subjects in certain areas. Um, but you know, so I have to periodically resubscribe in order to get the Al Jazeera push. Um, so um, now that's not including AJ Plus. AJ Plus is I I there's not much I dislike about AJ Plus, and AJ Plus is Al Jazeera, but it's one that is staffed with all with Americans, and they the way they do it is uh, is is consistently uh, more consistently truth based and fact based, and so I applaud AJ Plus, but I don't applaud Al Jazeera. Um, but at the same time, I keep track of what's happening on Al Jazeera. That's English, not the Arabic and other. So Al Jazeera English, understand? Um, just like RT. There's the RT has certain pundits on that come from the uh, liberal pundits. Uh, from those who find themselves no longer viable for the legacy so-called liberal media. Um, so you know, there are things on Al Jazeera. I mean, on RT that I despise. But there are stuff like Lee Camp on RT. Lovely. Um, so uh, so, but as I said, I like to keep track of a lot of media sources, and but I can't stand. I just absolutely cannot stand MSNBC, CNN, CBS, NBC, ABC, Fox, and all. I can't. I cannot stand them, and but and I refuse to look at them. But what's great about the way I do it is that oftentimes the independent social media often brings up the material, so I don't have to actually watch or listen to MSNBC or CNN or and so on and so forth. Um, and plus, I just wouldn't have the. I just it's not possible to keep track of all of it. Uh, but I have a well-rounded sourcing that which gives me a informed uh, informed uh, arena, so I can so when I do my commentary on my videos, um, I'm more informed about what I'm talking about. And if I'm wrong, and I have been, and as I've admitted before, I have been taken in. But when I do find out about it, I try to make corrections. Um, but I'm also not the type to just erase it or try to delete it and so on and so forth, because I understand I understand that I'm gonna make mistakes because I'm not as informed as I would like to be, and that because I am mortal and because I am human, because I live in this paradigm of propaganda from every side, I can be misled. But I try to correct that on my future videos, and if I don't correct that at the time, that's probably because I haven't come to the correct critical aspects, or because I've been busy looking into different things, and I've uh, didn't didn't make a correction because future videos will always cover how I've grown, how I've. So if you watch me from first till present, you can see how I grow and how I come to the critical decisions and conclusions I've come to in assessments. So and so that's it. So anyways, yeah. The Rising is got Cuban on, and he's talking about having an awakening, and so on and so forth, and about how the crisis of the COVID pandemic and the malfeasance being done on the political and social spectrum, and how he's possibly looking into a run uh, for president. And so, if and this is a billionaire, understand? So this guy's had it wrong all his life since he became a wealthy paragon Um, it's it's ridiculous to think that that this this monstrous idiot could do any better or be a savior of any sort. And any fool who believes that deserves what comes if they back him. And there's just, I mean, like current affairs. Nathan Robinson did an entire series. I'm not a series, an entire video on Biden and why he should not be the Democratic nominee, and how talking about how, and he talks about all the lies that Biden has done and all the and all the policies and other stuff that he's pushed and gotten enacted. And it's and Cuban is just like Biden, and he's just like Trump. They're all a bag of shits. They should be shit canned and tossed out and thrown away. And as I said, that's why I hate the Hill, because they have a clever dynamic which pulls in those who are hoping against hope that somebody will come to become the savior. Rather than trying to be the saviors themselves, rather than trying to be the leaders themselves, rather than trying to come together and bring together the community in solidarity to shit can all these assholes and these high criminals and basically obliterate them. Anyways, that's it.